Well, since we made our last video about 2 or 3 days ago, there has been so many positive events have actually happened that I actually can't even cover all of them in this video today. The video would be way too long. So what I'm going to do is I'm just saving up the other stuff for our next video. But for now, we're just going to really talk around banks and banking, etc. Because think about it, guys, the very people that we're looking to defeat, or the very people that have enslaved humanity in debt enslavement and way, way worse, those are the people that have kind of dominated the world. And if you think back just a couple of years ago, whenever a country steps out of line, I mean, let's think about Syria, for example, right? Syria wanted to get rid of their central bank, and we all know what happened to Syria. Think about Iraq or Iran, for example, right? Saddam Hussein wanted to stop using the petrodollar for the sale of oil. And, well, we all know what happened to Saddam Hussein. And let's think about Gaddafi, right? Gaddafi in Libya. He also was wanting to create an African currency, which was asset-backed, or in fact, it was going to be gold-backed. And so, guys, the fact that all of these things, which I'm going to share with you, and there's a number of banking-related things that are going on right now, the fact that these are even happening proves that the cabal, or the bank gangsters, the Illuminati, the Khazarian Mafia are absolutely defeated. They are basically in the corner. They're a cornered animal at the moment, and there's not a lot that they can still do. So, like I said, whenever a country stepped out of line in the past, like Syria, like Iran, like Libya, etc., what happened? The might of the American army was focused on them, and those countries were destroyed. Well, guys, listen to all of this banking-related stuff. If you can't see at this point just how defeated these bank gangsters are, then maybe you need to. I've got 14 search engines and a whole whack of search terms that I've put together. So maybe, guys, if you're really looking to gain more insight and you want to get a deeper understanding, I've got those. Just please send me a message. I'll send you the search engines, because obviously, as you know, Google is a very, very captured search engine. So we're definitely not going to use Google, because you're not going to find any of this information. So like I said, I've got 14 alternate search engines and, well, 83 search terms, and I've got another list of about 200 search terms, which you could basically use, and it would give you all of the insights, all of the background. Or, guys, if you want to have crib notes, what I've done is I've created an online resource using an old learner management system of mine that I had on a sales training website, and I've created a complete online facility that explains everything. It gives you all of the background. It gives you sort of an understanding, or should I rather say an understanding. It gives you an understanding around who these criminals are, these evil criminal monsters, these bank gangsters. Who are they, and how have they enslaved humanity without us even knowing about it? Well, we've covered that. We've then looked at identifying the people, right? The white hats, for example, who were financed by Howard Hughes back in the 50s. Who are the white hats, and how have they actually defeated these evil monsters? Then we're going to have a look and say, okay, so how have they facilitated this? In other words, how did they manage to program us? We're going to look at the ways they've programmed society. We're going to look at how they've utilized maritime law or martial law. Guys, we've basically been under martial law since before 1776. And so they've used all of these tools. So we look at understanding, or rather, should I rather say understanding common law, or should I rather say natural law, which gives humanity our inalienable rights. Guys, when we say our rights are inalienable, I mean, they've even messed with that word. They taught us to say the word is inalienable. No, our rights are not inalienable. They are inalienable. A lien, guys, is basically, if you're going to use your property as collateral, for example, you would then put a lien against your property as collateral. Well, basically, guys, what natural law tells us as sovereign beings, all of our rights, that's our rights to travel, our rights to health, our rights to breathe fresh air, our rights to own property, our rights to just be sovereign and not have our lives interfered with, all those rights, guys, are inalienable, which means that irrespective of whether these criminals have created a fraudulent system where they conned our mothers to ward their children to the state. They've created artificial corporations which represent our straw man. They've created CQV trusts. Despite all of that criminality, guys, our rights have never, ever remember, guys, what are our rights? They are inalienable. The only reason that it appears that we have no rights is because we have given our tacit approval. So when anything happens, for example, if somebody registers you as a corporation and you have 72 hours to go, hang on a second, I need to correct that error. If you don't correct the error, it's assumed that via your tacit approval, you have approved the fact that you are, or you have, a straw man. You've approved the fact that you are registered as a corporation. You've approved the fact, tacit approval has been given to the fact that you are dead and lost at sea, and that's why you need an attorney. But here's the amazing thing, guys. Do you know how easy it is to emancipate yourself? You need to send 7 letters, and if you want it, it's not necessary any longer, guys, because our countries are all bankrupt, and therefore the countries which, or should I rather say countries that are pretending to be republics, but they're masquerading as corporations, they're all bankrupt. So that's all done. You don't need to do this. But if you want to get a nice, warm, fuzzy feeling, guys, send me a message. You send out 7 letters to the president, to the chief of police, to a number of, I've got all the people that you need to send it to, and you need to carefully word the letter stating that you are a sovereign being. You ask for the proceeds of your minor trust. You have an express trust deed where you are now the executor of your trust, etc. Once you send those letters off, of course those 7 people are not going to reply to you. Guess what? After 72 hours, because they haven't replied, they have given you their tacit approval to become an emancipated sovereign being once again. So if you want to do that for a warm fuzzy feeling, go ahead and do it. Not necessary any longer, guys. Like I say, the moment your country is no longer registered as a PLC or it's bankrupt, your country then once again is registered or recognized as a republic. And the moment your country is recognized as a republic, guys, that means that you are a sovereign being once again. So most of us, if not all of us, I know the USA's bankruptcy was finalized on the 22nd of May. South Africa's bankruptcy, guys, I've got the bankruptcy papers. So South Africa's declared bankruptcy. I'm not sure if it's actually been processed, but I believe that it actually has already been processed. So most of the countries around the world, guys, have already returned to republics, which means it would be completely unnecessary. Okay, so let's explore these things that I'm seeing. And like I said, guys, these are all banking related things. Previously, if anybody stepped out of line and disobeyed the bank gangsters' commands, the US Army used to go in and sort it out. Listen to all of these amazing things, right? So remember, the petrodollar was established in around 1972. How did they do it? Well, they got Saudi Arabia involved. Remember, Saudi Arabia at that stage sold most of the oil. So Saudi Arabia said, if you want to buy our oil, you can only buy it with a petrodollar. And of course, they had the US military standing by with a really big stick that anybody who even thought about stepping out of line would have had their butts kicked, right? So that was back in 1972. But now listen what I said. I said Saudi Arabia was a pivotal country involved that forced the acceptance of the petrodollar. Guys, this is the fantastic news. That's why I'm so excited. Saudi Arabia has requested to join the BRICS countries, right? The BRICS countries at the moment are all asset backing their currency, and they are looking at forming a joint currency. In other words, a new currency that would be in competition to the US petrodollar. Guys, this is unprecedented. It's unheard of. Anyone who even considered this in the past, the US military would have stepped in and all sorts of ugliness would have happened. So the fact that the BRICS countries, guys, are Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. The fact that these countries are even considering doing it, let alone actually going ahead and creating an asset-backed currency of last resort or world reserve currency, is just unprecedented and proof, guys, that these guys are finished. Next thing, guys, is banks. And this, we've known this forever. Remember, what have banks always been engaged in? They engage in what we refer to as fractional reserve banking. In other words, they've only got to keep a small percentage of the money that's deposited with them in the bank as a reserve. They can lend out the rest. Guys, that number at the moment is around 10%. So let's say the bank gets $1 million deposited into the bank. They only need to keep at least $100,000 in the bank. They can re-lend out $900 of thin air. And then, guys, where it gets really complicated, that $900, whoever was paid that $900 million now deposits it into their bank. Guys, their bank then only has to keep $810,000 or at least $90,000 on reserve. They can lend out $810. And they keep rolling this, guys, until $1 million becomes $10 million. Now, think about that on a balance sheet, right? You are lending out 90% more money than you have on your balance sheet. How can you ever balance those books, guys? So the way that they've done it over the years, it's, guys, this entire criminal banking system is so criminal, so fraudulent. It's so unbelievable that when people hear it, they actually suffer from cognitive dissonance. They go, impossible. How can that even be allowed? Well, guys, we have taken our eye off the ball. We've fallen asleep at the wheel, and we've allowed this to happen, right? So what the banks have basically done, guys, is they have over-leveraged themselves, and listen to how much, by how much? $2 quadrillion in derivatives. Now, guys, derivatives are nothing more than gambling. So what the banks have done to try to balance their balance sheets and stuff, or try to prove they've got enough assets, they've invested in these ridiculous things called derivatives, which is basically gambling on deciding whether a share is going to increase in value or it's going to decrease in value. So it's literally gambling. Guys, we are talking 2 quadrillion. There is no way. Those derivatives are nothing but speculation. They're nothing but bits of air. That means nothing. So these guys have put this onto their balance sheets to try to balance the books. Well, they've now been caught out. And this, literally, what this is going to mean, guys, is because these banks are so over leveraged, we've now got Deutsche Bank, which is probably the biggest or one of the biggest banks in the world. Credit Suisse, guys, they are all suffering from distressed valuations. Well, those distressed valuations, unbelievably, are because of they calling derivatives assets. How can you do that? It's absolutely impossible. Something else banking related, guys, and this comes from the United Nations. I mean, the United Nations is the core of the deep state. The United Nations is the core of the evil. The United Nations, guys, is now calling on central banks. Now, remember, how do central banks control money and control valuations of money against each other? They use interest rates. So if they've printed too much money and the value of the dollar or the rand or the euro, etc., starts to plummet, what do? They increase interest rates. Well, guys, this is unprecedented. Remember, when the bank gangsters increase interest rates, they make more money. But this, for the first time ever, because NATO has seen what's going on, just how devastating all of this is. It's literally stealing is maybe a wrong word. It's literally removing the whole fiat currency mechanism. This criminal system of basically counterfeiting money is being gradually pulled. The whole rug has been pulled out from underneath these bank gangster monsters, right? To the point that NATO has actually stepped up and said, guys, please stop these increases. So basically, in layman's terms, they're saying, stop making more money, which we know you guys love doing, because it's damaging the deep state. It's damaging the cabal in a big way. So guys, these are massive. Like I said, guys, if you know where to look and you know what to look for, you are going to be amazed at all of the incredible things that are happening, right? So the next thing, guys, India, and I haven't, this is unconfirmed. Like I said, I haven't confirmed it from 3 sources, but it looks like India is going to be closing their banks for 20 days. Why would they do that? Could that have anything to do with switching to the quantum financial service? Could it have anything to do with now having or taking in all that ridiculous fiat currency printed out of thin air and replacing it with asset-backed or gold-backed currency? It looks pretty much along those lines to me, right? Something else that is absolutely mind-blowing, guys. Remember, BlackRock and Vanguard, guys, those are the two massive companies, right? They basically own everything on the planet. Listen to what the state of Louisiana has just done to BlackRock. Guys, what they've done is they've just taken over $800 million that was deposited with BlackRock and said, guys, because you are demanding all of this ridiculous Green New Deal rubbish, okay, because you know there is no climate crisis, right? That is just another nonsense bit of evil that these creatures have dreamt up to steal more money from us, to lock us down for climate emergencies, to take more carbon taxes from us, etc. Guys, there is no climate crisis at all. They're just using this whole carbon nonsense to force us to pay more taxes and to force us, guys, to drive electric cars, which gives them more control. Remember, electric cars have limited range. Electric cars can be switched off, etc. So, guys, what they're looking to do is they're looking to force us into smart cities. Not going to happen anymore, but that's what they were looking to do, was force us into smart cities and control our lives completely, guys. Another thing that is absolutely unprecedented, guys, is Germany is trying to help the Ukraine at the moment. And obviously, they've been sending loads and loads and loads of money. Finally, the Bundestag in Germany, which is their parliament, has voted virtually unanimously. It's like 400 odd against 100, which is unbelievable, guys, that they will no longer be sending money to Ukraine. That is so massive. It's unbelievable. Guys, and then, of course, Walmart is closing over 100 stores just before festive season. Why would they do that? Okay, so maybe you're thinking, well, business has declined. And in many respects, that could be true. But guys, what group of companies would close 100 stores when 2/3 of their turnover happens during the festive season? Guys, Walmart has been directly involved in human trafficking. Walmart has been directly involved in all sorts of underground clandestine activities. And I believe that the white hats have stepped up and started asking a few questions. Guys, please don't take anything I'm saying here at face value. Like I said, guys, I've got these 14 amazing non-Google search engines, some of them academic search engines, etc., where you can find all of this information. I don't want you to believe a single word that I say to you. Guys, please take these search engines. Go and search every single thing that I'm telling you. Please go and research it yourself. Go and find the information, because this is such a massive subject, guys. You're going to battle to find a single article that proves any of this. But as you go and you build your understanding, or should I rather say you build your understanding around what has actually gone on, who's perpetrated it, who the people are that are helping us fix it, and how things are going to be in the future. And when you start looking at things from that perspective, everything changes. But like I say, guys, don't believe a word I say. Please go and check, go and verify everything that I say. The next thing, guys, which is also, obviously, I spoke about the Nord Stream pipeline last time, just briefly, but I have now got some more information. Guess why the USA under Biden? Because remember, each country has a white hat and a black hat, or a dark deep state element in it, right? So in China, it's the CCP is the deep state. And then, of course, we've got the white dragons. And then in the USA, we've kind of, let's call it the Trump camp, the Q group, the white hats against the deep state. So we've got these elements in both countries. So the deep state element in the US, let's call it the Biden camp, right? So the Biden camp basically was responsible for blowing up the Nord Stream pipeline. The reason for that, guys, was that Germany was actually, as I told you in the previous video, Russia has gold backed the ruble. So in other words, if you want to buy oil or gas or anything from Russia, you can't just pay them with this printed fiat currency. They now want you to pay them in gold or the gold backed ruble. Germany was just about to do that. So in order to stop that, America, or should I rather say the deep state in America, blew up the Nord Stream pipeline. Because now what's going to happen, guys, remember, they are running out of money. We are basically, when I say we, the white hats, the good guys, right, are basically doing everything in our power to cut off their revenue streams, right? What that basically means is USA, as I said in the last video, bankrupt on the 30th of September. Guys, they've got till the 14th, which is 4 days from now. In 4 days from now, if the US hasn't come up with the money that they need to pay, and remember, Russia, China, South Africa, we don't want that ridiculous fiat currency, which is just pieces of paper and thin air. We saying, guys, our currencies are asset-backed. We now want either gold or an equivalent asset-backed currency, right? This is where it also gets even more insane. Guys, about a year ago, 18 months ago, Germany sent $810 million to South Africa to start forcing us to no longer use coal. And that's why South Africa's gone into these ridiculous stage 4, stage 6. Guys, we've had periods where we've had over 13, 14 hours a day of no electricity. And that, guys, is all because of Germany now, because of this ridiculous Green New Deal nonsense, paid us to stop our coal power stations. How insane is this? Germany has just imported thousands of tons of coal from South Africa to restart all of their power stations. Why? Well, because the Nord Stream the Nord Stream gas pipeline has been blown up, and they are in for a massively cold winter ahead. So this is so ludicrous. I mean, it is, talk about, okay guys, so basically it's an absolute farce that Germany actually paid us 18 months ago to stop using coal, and have literally as a result devastated the South African economy. And I mean, can you imagine living more than half the day without electricity? It's crazy. I mean, as an individual, it's hard enough. Imagine trying to run a business. Guys, it's crazy. Then let's talk about now, guys. So I've kind of spoken about the banks. That's what I wanted to concentrate on. But I just want to leave you with two last pieces of incredible information. The first one is, guys, Alaska has completely banned any electronic voting machines. And remember, why this is so huge, Alaska is a Democrat stronghold. So Alaska, guys, has voted and said they will no longer allow these ridiculous Dominion or electronic voting machines. And this is huge, guys, is mass mail-in voting has been declared unconstitutional. So they cannot do that again. Okay, so here's the thing that I want to also just part and leave you with this is, I don't believe that the midterm elections in the USA are going to go ahead. I think somewhere along the line, I mean, because SCOTUS has already overturned the US election and said Donald Trump won. So, but it hasn't been announced officially. But that announcement, I think, is coming pretty soon. And I don't believe that SCOTUS is going to allow the midterm elections to go ahead because they could potentially be compromised. So what that basically points towards, guys, is the announcement of GESARA. So what I see happening very, very soon is the return of President Trump. But remember, guys, before that's going to happen, prepare yourself. President Trump may be arrested. And like I said previously, it won't be the real President Trump, it will body double. But that, guys, could be the very catalyst that starts everything. Just also on the nuclear war side, guys, remember, it can never go ahead. So please don't get yourself too worried and too concerned about this whole nuclear scare that's going on. It can never happen, will never happen. Starlink, for example, I read today, again, this is unconfirmed, is that part of Starlink is a facility that within 2 seconds of a missile leaving a silo, any nuclear missile leaving a silo, it will be hit with an energy weapon and destroyed. Besides that, that's from Earth side. And then, guys, of course, there are amazing benevolent non-terrestrials that are here, and they cannot allow nuclear to be used. As I said in my previous video, guys, it tears the fabric of time. But let me leave you with this amazing parting word, guys. Everything, I am seeing so much. Like I said to you, there is so much going on, so much positive stuff going on, so much pointing towards the fact that these monsters are defeated. I couldn't even put it all in this video. So in a day or two, I'm going to make another video where I'll cover the rest of the stuff. But let me just leave you with these parting words. We are getting so close, guys, to the announcement of GESARA. The QFS, I believe, is running since the 19th of September. The return of President Trump is imminent. Things, and like I said, this whole video is about what's been going on against the Bank Gangsters. If they had any authority left, Putin would be terrified. Putin and Xi Jinping wouldn't have even started to gold back their currencies, guys. So everything's on track. Chin up, guys. Hold the line. Not much longer. We're almost home. Well done, everybody. Hang in there.